Stephen Pressfield wrote about it in The War of Art.
Yeah.
It's a great book. If you haven't read it, The War of Art. It's a real small book. I used to have a stack of them. I used to hand them out to guests. He talks about this thing that we all have, everyone has, not just me, I mean everybody that does anything has. And it's like this voice in your head that wants you to do nothing. This voice in your head, and he calls it resistance.
Yeah.
And he talks about this resistance that is in your head and that you have to decide that you are a professional. This is what a professional does. A professional goes to work and they give in to the muse. Okay, the concept of the muse, whether or not it's real, but the concept of the muse is you settle in and receive creativity almost like as a divine gift from this magical entity, the muse. Now, whether or not it's real is not important. What's important is if you treat it as if it's real, it does work. And what works is if you dedicate your time and your focus, like realistically, with a professional, disciplined effort to creativity. You show up every day like a professional, but you show up to be creative. If you just do it on a regular basis, ideas will come to you. Where are these ideas coming from? Well, his concept was to think of it as you're a professional and you're getting these ideas from the muse. And this is what you do. You show up and you do the work, you focus on it, and these ideas will come to you. And that's really true. If you really stop and think about it, if you write something, whether it's the most brilliant thing you've ever written or whether you're not good at editing and it turns out to be dog shit, where's that coming from, man? You're just sitting down in front of your laptop and these thoughts are coming to you and all of a sudden you're talking about a kid who's riding a bike and he gets attacked by a werewolf. Like, where the fuck is this coming from? If it's not coming from the muse, where is it coming from? Well, it's coming from my creativity. Okay. Do you know how to access your creativity like you can blink? No, you don't. Do you know how to access your activity like you can lick something or perform any sort of physical function that's repeatable? No, you don't. It's a non-repeatable thing. Treat it like it's magic. But treat it like you're a professional and you show up to engage with the magic. So every day, at the same time, you sit down in front of your keyboard and you start working. And just put in the work, and force yourself to do it. Force it like a muscle, like the same muscle that you develop when you go running every day. And then you get to the point where like 7 days in, you start fucking feeling good running.
Right. So you start to feel like you're good at it.
You start feeling like you're getting better.
Yeah.
Well, there's a problem today, and there's a lot of people out there giving advice. And this is what's interesting. Sometimes advice, it resonates. And then you get older and wiser and you realize that advice is really fucking stupid. Because there's people that are giving advice and there's like a lot of value in motivating people, right?
Yeah.
Like when someone's a like legitimately motivational person, whether it's like Wim Hof, the Iceman, or someone who's like really done some things, there's something about them that their inspiration is fuel. Yeah. It really does something to you. But then there's a lot of people out there that are just saying shit because they think it's going to be motivating to other people, and it sounds like horse shit.
Yeah.
And it only tricks dummies.
Yeah.
And that stuff is painfully prevalent.
Yeah.
There's so much of it. There's so many people out there that are trying to offer advice and they're trying to motivate people. But then you go, hey, man, what have you experienced? They've had a placid, dull life filled with non-accomplishments. Yeah. The thing about stuff, though, as opposed to like goals, is like stuff, you could always just keep buying stuff and making money to buy stuff. And then you find yourself being one of those people that just does stuff for money because you want to buy the stuff.
I've never done that, though.
But there are people like that out there, right? You know, I've heard Steve Harvey talk about money, like how much money he wants to make per year, and someone was making fun of it. And I was thinking, well, he's in this vibe where he's trying to get stuff and make money, and you got to make money to get stuff. And you get sort of in this game of accumulating more and bigger and better things. For me, the most important thing is the stuff that I put out if people like it.
Yes.
Like if I do a podcast, well, let's say if I do a UFC and I suck, if I stumble through something or I make a bad call or it's not, that shit will fuck me up for days.
And there's nothing you can do to
nothing
fix
I can do to fix it.
You could get a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, it's not going to help fill that void.
Wouldn't do a damn thing. So Same with a podcast. If I do a podcast that doesn't go well, if I do a set, the set doesn't go well, or I stumble through a joke, all I care about is the stuff that I do in terms of like progress. I focus all my progress on that. I'll distract myself with stuff, but like, look, this watch costs like $50 or something. I don't know. I don't think we know how to manage our life correctly, and life doesn't come with a guidebook. It doesn't come with, when you're in this condition, seek out these remedies. Start exercising, get together with your friends, tell them you love them, meet up and have dinner and hug each other.
Sleep well,
drink water. There's
and whiskey.
A little bit of whiskey too, right? And also, so many of us have a bad head start. Like, you're starting off, like, how about your dad? He been growing up, getting kicked out of the family.
Yeah.
And then starts a family of his own where you don't even know your grandfather. It's madness, right? Madness. So you're coming out of this stressful pocket, or maybe your dad goes to jail, or maybe your mom dies when you're young. All these things that happen to people where they have this bad start, right? And then they develop defense mechanisms to deal with all their insecurities, and they get around similar-minded people, and you curse the world, and fuck everybody, and fuck the police, and fuck the this, and then you get in these communities of people that think the same way. And then maybe there's gangs, and maybe there's drugs, and maybe there's crime, and despair, and sadness, and maybe just negative people. Maybe there's none of the above. Maybe there's no danger. It's just fucking annoying. Every day, people complaining about shit, and you're stuck in the mud of humanity with people. It's real hard to engineer 350 million people out of that. But for yourself, you can take actions to make your life better. And if everybody did that, if everybody took actions to make their life a happier experience by doing those things, by exercising, eating well, hugging friends, and enhancing community, just trying to be nicer to people.
They all sound attractive.
Yes.
So why is it so hard for so many people to do it?
Because people are lazy. And the reason why we're lazy is because it's very difficult for us to waste resources on something that we don't currently do. And even though we know something to be true, that if you do this physical
long-term
thing,
benefits
we know
are-
that. But
right.
short-term, it's like, I don't want to do it right now.
Right.
Because your body like craves relaxation because it used to be a very rare thing to achieve.
Society says everything's great. I'm unhappy.
Exercise.
Financially, okay.
Exercise.
Why is exercise the one?
Because you get your blood pumping.
Right.
You release natural endorphins and you legitimately feel better. And I also think of this all the time. I think of your body as almost like the energy in your body is like a battery, and it requires a certain amount of use. And when you don't use it, it overflows. And then you get weird behavior and overreacting to things, and you almost like get antsy. You got to get up and move.
Cognitively, it's a big, I find.
There's a balance. There's a balance between being productive and being happy, right? And I think it's hard to find that balance because we look at like the numbers that come in, whether it's money or productivity or, the number of things that you've been able to create, and you think of that as being like, but look, I can get so much done. But if you maybe got less of those numbers, but more of the numbers in terms of the amount of sleep you got, you would enjoy the whole overall experience more.